All right, we're here just a few weeks after the Summer Olympics in Paris with one of the biggest stars from the games, Snoop Dogg. Thanks for joining us here on Forbes Life.
Thank you for having me.
One of the things I read was that when you were first starting out in your career in the 90s that you felt a little uncomfortable on camera and shy, which I think a lot of people would be surprised to hear considering, your work in the Olympics and now The Voice. What changed?
I don't know. I just used to not be comfortable with people watching me when I talk. Like, for example, if we was doing this interview, I would be more concerned with everybody over there rather than sitting here talking to you. Now, over the years, I've learned to block that out. And I don't know if it's a skill set or if this happens to everybody who is thrown in front of the cameras at an early age and has to deal with it without preparation. Remember, I started on Death Row Records, so we didn't have an etiquette class or any of that schooling and teaching on how to speak on camera. So we had to learn on the fly. And through experience and doing it over and over again and then taking a chance with my own cameras and my own crew, it became, familiar to me. Like, okay, get comfortable, dog. Shake that off. You're in the spotlight, so you must attack the spotlight and start treating. It's like when I played sports. Whenever I was in a big game where the lights was bright, that's when I performed at my highest level. So I had to take that same spirit from sports and ingest it into my music career.
It seems like now kind of the signature of you on TV or in movies is just the authenticity of being yourself. How do you balance that with kind of the skills that you were just talking about of being on camera?
Well, it's good to have some insight on what you're talking about if you're definitely going to be in front of that screen. So whatever topic it is that we're dealing with, I like to really study and make sure I got a whole lot of information so whenever the camera is on, I'm not just circling around the same topic, but I'm able to jump in and if you throw something off the wall, I'm able to communicate with you because I was able to do my research and see exactly what you're talking about. I like to be abreast on what's happening and keep my hands on the pulse of what's cracking. It
seems from the outside, that kind of the public perception, the public image of Snoop Dogg has changed, obviously, over the past 30 years. What I'm curious about is, was there intentional effort put into that, or do you feel like kind of the world changed around you?
I just think when you organic and authentic to who you are, eventually the world will catch up. What I didn't do was try to, follow the fads or the trends. I just stayed me the whole way. Even when it was rocky and when it was bad and I wasn't as hot or successful or liked or loved, I managed to continue to be me. And that's something I want to say to everybody that's watching. Stay you at all times. Ain't nothing wrong with being you. Find a way to be you and master that craft and stick with it. You never know what the outcome gonna be.
One example of that is kind of, I think, the way that perception of cannabis or the marijuana industry has changed, in the past 30 years. And obviously now you
I would have went to jail if we'd have been doing an interview 15, 20 years ago. They'd be taking you to jail because I'd have gave you all this dope and said it was yours.
And when you think about it from like a...
I'm just fucking with you.
You're good.
Like, oh my God, Mom.
Please, no. When you think about it from like a business perspective, yeah, to now be someone that works in that field and is making money in that field, I guess, like, how do you process kind of, that change over 30 years?
Well, I wasn't here when Prohibition happened and alcohol was illegal, that it became legal, but I look at it as the same sport. Something that the government definitely had to get control of, and once they was able to, tax it and monitor it, I knew it would become legal. And once it became legal, I did all of the proper steps to make sure that I was able to get into the industry and, not just be used as a victim or used as a face, but I went and met with the MEDs when this thing first started. And I sat down with them and got a real understanding on what I was about. I was about the medical side of it and making sure that we reached the right purpose and the right intentions. And we did things where we reached out to the elders and the patients that really needed it. What showed our true interest was we was trying to show that this is something that could be used for medical purposes and not just for recreational. And once the business, became the business, I was looked at as someone who really cared rather than just try to come in and steal money because I was an advocate. No, I really cared because I have family members that really need this and needed this to survive, and they was dealing with cancer and dealing with certain diseases, and this got them through. So I wanted to be a voice for it, and that was the best way I could do it.
Death Row Records, the cannabis business, it seems like that is just one of many examples of kind of entrepreneurship that you leaned into in recent years, even like the gin and juice and joint ventures like that, and maybe away from kind of just traditional brand deals and sponsorships? Why was it important for you to kind of take more ownership over your ventures?
Well, you know, when you start off as a player, the dream one day is to be a coach, and then the next dream is to be an owner. So I played. I think I did a good job. I'll be in the Hall of Fame soon, hopefully. Well, I'm in the WWE Hall of Fame, so I made it. But you know, coaching is the record label, to be able to give back to artists and do the things that was done for me. And then ownership, I own the label, and I want to have ownership in the things that I promote and market because I realize I'm good at it. And it don't make no sense for me to take a check for $10 million and promote your company and it makes $500 million, and I look good for 3 weeks, and then you sell your company, and now Uncle Sam came and took half of my 10, my wife took the other third, kids took another piece, now I'm sitting up here with $200,000. You know what I'm saying? Don't make sense.
Yeah. On the music side of things, I know you got some new music coming out this fall. What I'm curious about is like why it's still important for you as an recording artist to be present, productive, continuing to put out stuff.
Well, music is my foundation. That's the root of who I am. So I can never like run away from that. And I feel like one thing about great music and great musicians, they timeless. We don't never have this discussion when it comes to country music or rock and roll. We never ask why. We just say, about time. And I think we should get that same respect because the music that we make is timeless, especially when it comes to me and Dr. Dre.
Sure.
And we don't normally talk about it, we just do it. And that's what we did on this project. And I felt like 30 years of not working with him on a whole project made a lot of sense considering that I have Death Row Records now. He's got Aftermath. We love each other. And we still hungry. We still listen. We still pay attention to what's going on. And we feel like it's a void. Like the youngsters is doing their thing. They're making amazing music and they taking it to another level, but they can't do what we do. And sometimes we got to come back and let them know where it all began.
To that point, one of your old collaborations before Gin and Juice is now canned cocktail in grocery stores. When we talk about the way Snoop Dogg, the brand is developed, I guess, how did that come?
Snatch one of them cans. I would like to have one right now, one of those passion fruits for me, Lori. Somebody please. We're promoting right now, Forbes. We're trying to get this brand to the B. We get that passion fruit. Let's see if my nephew want to try one. He over 21. Go and try one.
So how did this come together for you?
Great music that we made 30-some years ago, and then thinking about the brands that we promoted in this song, right? We promoted Seagram's. I wrote the song, so I wrote Seagram's. I wrote Tanqueray, and not knowing that I made those brands, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. And not that money was the key, it was the culture. It was like, what can me, Dre, and Jimmy do to affect the culture that's really who we are, that could be a great venture? And Gin and Juice just made sense because the song has been, you know, remade in different genres. It's been kept alive for so many years. Like, even when we didn't pay attention to the record, it just kept growing and growing. So it's like, this drink is necessary because gin is like a lane of alcohol that doesn't really do well. So we chose to pick a lane that doesn't do well so we can exhale. Toast to you.
Here we go.
My man.
When you were first rapping about Gin and Juice, I guess, would you ever imagine that would be sold in grocery stores?
No, I was just happy to get a St. Ives deal back then. St. Ives was the shit. Old English 800 wasn't fucking with us. They wasn't giving up no money. So back at that time, rappers would do branding deals with St. Ives malt liquor because St. Ives would give you a fat check. They would put you on a song and they would promote you as an artist throughout all of the liquor stores that they were in around the world. So that was like our first step of marketing and branding for alcohol brands. And that's what I was more impressed with because they gave me my first check for $100,000 and I was excited because I'd never seen 3 zeros on a check.
Now you have so many different ventures in different diverse industries and diverse fields. And obviously all those, you know, they take time, investment, and they take energy from you. I guess, like, what motivates you to be doing so much in so many different areas?
Probably my youth football league, the Snoop Youth Football League motivates me when I see all of those kids from age like 5 to 13, and I see them striving hard, and I see how much they respect me and love me and look up to me. It's so many different things that I have to create so I can show them that you just don't have to be one thing. And I feel like I'm able to do it and not make them try to overdo it, as far as like try to do as much as me, but just do as much as you can, but figure out what and who you are. And I think that that's inspiring for me to go back to my league and see the kids grow into young adults and eventually become, standout young men and women for the community. And then we have some guys who eventually make it to the NFL. So it's like the highest level of the highest level they making it to. And I'm inspiring them while they're inspiring me.
I know that, giving back to the community, especially in LA, is really important to you. How have you maintained the priority of that through all the busyness of all the business?
Well, for the first maybe 8 years, I was hands-on, like coaching physically out there. And then I built a machine of great people who knew how to run the operation without me. And now the operation is moving and it's growing and growing. And sometimes it's best to like have your hands off of it so other people can be empowered. And that's what I believe in, because they're the ones who are actually doing the work in the community. I'm just the voice and the finances and the spirit of the community because I rose. But I love to have great teammates around me, great people who can make the operation move so much without me. So when I do show up, it's excitement.
One thing I've always wondered, especially when I was watching the Olympics, is it seems like people feel very familiar with you, like they know you maybe in a different way than other celebrities who are super famous. Why do you think that is?
Probably because I'm up close and personal. Like, I'm not distant. I'm touchable. When I was a kid, all of the stars was untouchable. Like, you would never see a star. You would never be able to even ask him for an autograph, let alone a picture. So it was like, that was one thing that I always felt like the stars didn't do when I was a kid. Probably because I wasn't in Hollywood, I wasn't around none of it. They probably did do it, I just didn't see it. Or I never seen none. So I figured that when I ever had the position of power of influence, to be touchable, relatable, because Muhammad Ali was like the greatest person to me as a kid. And when I finally met him, he was the greatest person I ever met. And he was exactly who I thought he was, and he was up close and personal, and I could talk to him, I could laugh with him, joke with him. So it was like his influence became my influence. I believe that his spirit became my spirit.
And kind of to that end, your ability to connect with everyone across the spectrum of, the grandmas that are watching the Olympics and the little kids. It seems like not a lot of celebrities, not a lot of artists kind of have that wide appeal. Why do you think that you're able to appeal to all those different kinds of folks?
Well, maybe because I do something for every genre. I got something for everybody. I got a kids program called Doggyland that I created a couple of years ago that has a big record called Affirmations that a lot of elementary students go to school and they sing this song before school starts. But a lot of teachers, I want to give them credit for playing this song. Michael Bublé is one of the people who told me about it because his daughter goes to school and every morning before school starts, they play that song. So I do things for kids because I have grandkids and I know how influential they can be, and if you don't give them anything positive, they'll go negative. So I put things out there for the kids. And then I got relationships with people who may be considered as like, elders or people that have been here for a while. Like your grandmother, she may be a fan of Martha Stewart, and Martha's a friend of mine. So you got the demographic from babies all the way up to grandma, and I'm relatable, I'm personal, I'm there for them, I'm not distant, and I speak their language, which is me. I speak me.
What do you think like a 19, 20-year-old Snoop Dogg would say if you told him you would be eating escargot with Martha Stewart?
Oh, no, he wouldn't be eating no escargot. That's what I didn't do. I don't eat no snails. Y'all can put a pretty word on it all y'all want. Try to make it cute, fry it, put seasoning salt on it. I'm not with no snails.
at this point in your life, you got grandkids. How does that change kind of your perspective on the things that you want to do and your businesses and adventures and things like that?
I really think about my grandkids, and I think about them having kids, and I think about, like, in the perspective of the Olympics, I think about running a race. When I was given the baton, most people were already around the lap 4 or 5 times. But now, at the pace I've been running, I've lapped them 4 or 5 times. So how do I give the baton to my grandkids to where they ahead of the race and they're not behind? And it's a race of not just finances, but a race of stability, peace, and love, and harmony, and understanding who you are. And that's the race that I'm winning right now. So I want to be able to pass that off to my great-grandkids, so that way, when my spirit drifts away, they'll continue to move in the spirit of me.
Awesome. What a way to send it off. Snoop, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. My man.